band?
Oh man, I'm sure I did.
Can't Turn
That's
You
some
Loose?
great intro music.
Wait, that's not Can't Turn You Loose. What song is that?
Dun, 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 dun. Ba, 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 ba. I can't think of it.
It's Steve Winwood is the singer, but it's Steve Winwood was the singer for a band before he was Steve Winwood doing like Higher Love and all that stuff. We made it. Hold on. So glad you bet. Give me some lovin'. Give me some. It's Give Me Some Lovin'. I figured it out.
Nice.
Thanks for coming, y'all. We'll see you next time where I sing a song and we try to figure out what it is.
And now we have to pay the rights for using that song.
No, because it was. If you notice, I sang bad notes. Definitely on purpose, not on accident because I'm a bad singer.
Right. Purely for copyright.
Clearly. Clearly.
Well, what's going on,
Lord.
PJ?
I'm chilling.
How was
How
your
are
week?
you?
Oh, man. Election week is always super stressful in the U.S.
my
This year
God.
was no
No exception.
But glad that's over. I'm sure all of us are glad that it's over, whether your candidate won or lost, because it's just so stressful. You don't know. It's that unknown. And at least now that we know the results, we can move forward.
Yep.
Happy days.
And that's the sort of thing. Like we're trying to move forward, and now it's like, okay, now we know where we're headed, and now we know what to do next, and now there's an idea of like, there's a next step. Whereas before it was like you didn't know where it was going, right?
I think it looked more like this: is refresh.
Yeah,
refresh,
F5,
refresh.
F5.
I don't think I've hit refresh so many times in my life. Oh,
I
man.
have a problem where Microsoft Edge has learned that I like political articles. And I have, when you start a new tab, you have the option to have a few articles pop up. And I was like, oh, that's good. It'll keep me informed. But now every time I open a tab, I immediately get distracted. Well, during election week, it was a big election tab. And so every time I open a new tab, no matter what I was headed to do, no matter where I was going, it was like, hey, notice that you wanted to know that nothing has changed in 24 hours.
It's like 20,000 more votes. Whoop.
Yeah. Perfect. I wasn't
Squirrel.
trying to I wasn't trying to open up something to help my students understand Macbeth. I don't need that now.
Ah,
I do need that now though. I need them to understand Macbeth. I am trying something new. I'm excited. A few years ago, I was trying to figure out how to best teach the Crucible to my standard English 3 class, and plays are always kind of hard. As you all remember, if you've ever been in an English class and had to do a play, the teacher assigns parts and everyone reads a part out loud in class.
I do remember that.
I'm here to tell you, we as teachers recognize that it's the worst. Because you get the kids who it's like, okay, everyone has to do it at least once. And so you got some kid who's like, will you be John Proctor for me? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, Elizabeth, your justice would freeze beer. And I'm like, man, this is depressing. And I decided a long time ago that that's not a great way to do things. And Chloe understands. Chloe especially understands the pain of people not doing well with reading lines around you. So a few years ago, someone recommended, hey, what if you don't have the kids read it? What if you have the kids watch it or listen to it and then come back and read it afterwards, like on their own?
Oh, I love that idea.
You're seeing a performance, which is how plays are meant to be viewed anyway. You're experiencing the play, and then you go back and you look at the text for a deeper read, as opposed to read it first and you have to come up with everything in your own brain. So now, especially for my standard classes, for like AP, I can just assign them to watch to read, and they're expected to be like the better,
Stupid,
the more
smart
capable
kids.
academic kids. Yeah, they're the worst.
Got here
I hate them.
with your big brains.
You hear that, AP Lane kids? I don't like it. No, I'm kidding.
I
kidding.
didn't get into AP English. So.
Yeah. Well, me neither.
I'm not
actually.
salty.
This
It's
is
fine.
this is my first time in an AP classes this year.
Congratulations.
So yeah, with Macbeth, we are watching a 2010 version of it where Patrick Stewart plays Macbeth, and it's actually set in like a Eastern Bloc nation undergoing revolution. So instead of
Cool.
being in 11th century Scotland, it is in 1950s Romania, essentially. And they've got like AKs, and the witches are like war nurses, and oh, it's really cool. But I'm making them watch that Act One, and then we go back and talk about Act One and do some activities, and then they watch Act Two, and da 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 da. So that's my new way of making sure that kids understand plays, because otherwise they're just reading, especially Shakespeare. Oh my God, that'd be terrible. Kids, read this Shakespeare out loud.
And I was thinking that's exactly why I love it, because I never had any idea what was going on, because we're just reading it. I don't know the plot synopsis, and then on top of that, like you're just saying with Shakespeare, he was a literary genius, but he was also very topical. So he used a lot of was he 1500s, like
Yeah,
1500.
late 1500s, early 1600s. Macbeth was performed in 1605.
So yeah, he used a lot of 16th and 17th century references that, sorry Shakespeare, but they don't hold up. And you don't know that something's a joke or something's a pun, and you're just reading these words that like I know these words, but I have no idea what they mean together in this sentence. And then you just move on. Like the next person in the class reads the next part, and yeah, I love the idea of being able to see it first. Like, let's understand. Let's get everybody on the same page. Like, what's this play about? And then we can go back, read it, dive into stuff. What a great idea.
I
Imagine
love
it takes
teaching Macbeth.
a lot longer though.
Oh yeah, you have to, and especially during COVID, I have a hard time showing videos in my class because I have to keep my Zoom students in mind. And if I've got
So hard.
Zoom running, then I'm sharing my screen with sound and I'm hitting play. So I'm streaming a video while I'm connected to a live chat while I'm trying to do stuff with my in-class students. That poor little MacBook Air that we have is it's only got 8 gigs of RAM, and so it's pushing itself to the limit every single time. My phone has as much RAM as my work computer does.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, here's my workaround. Normally I would spend, like, I'd be like, hey, let's watch this movie, but I constantly hit pause and explain what's happening. Because even if you're watching it, it can be a little confusing. But so I constantly pause and explain, and a 30-minute scene takes 2 class periods because I'm constantly stopping it. Well, since it's so much harder to do that with my Zoom kids, what I decided and what I figured out would work is I record myself, basically using some of the same software. I record myself watching the movie. It's sort of like a reaction video. And I talk about it. Yeah, PJ reacts to Macbeth 2010. So yeah, it worked out where I record this video, I edit it, I upload it, and then I say, okay guys, today's a movie day. Everybody click this link and watch this video and take notes on it. And so I've replaced my in-person lecture that I do 3 times a day. I do it once at home, and then I tell the kids to watch it at school.
Nice.
Yeah, these little workarounds. I like what Chloe said. One time in middle school, someone read the words "holla within." I'm still laughing about Shakespeare saying "holla." The best Shakespearean stage directions is one time there was exit pursued by bear, and a bear chases him off stage.
Oh man.
So anyway, we're on the Science and Technology channel right now. So this makes total sense that we're doing this. But yeah, how did we get on this? Oh, I just started talking about work. That's my fault. My bad.
Well, that's okay, because that's kind of the whole point of why we're here. Is PJ is a high school English teacher learning to code. I've been writing code for about 10 years now, but I've never done websites, and so we're just kind of teaching each other how to build a website.
That's
And
exactly
bringing you
what's
along
happening.
for the ride.
I love that we get to do this. Actually, it's cool. We used to do this just the two of us meeting up and doing it, but we start streaming it. I guess maybe a month ago. I guess this is the 4th one we've done, huh?
Sounds
And
right.
it's kept me more accountable, and since I'm forcing myself to sort of talk through as we do it, like as opposed to be like before I'd be like, oh, I'm doing this, but now I have to talk about what I'm doing. Well, it makes me learn a lot better, makes things stick. It's really making me into a better developer. And so, really, thanks Twitch for giving me the platform on which I can become better at this and eventually get a job. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And thanks everybody who helped us out last week.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had Pyrock come on at the end.
Yeah, we had a guest appearance last week because we were so stuck. We actually, quite literally phoned a friend and had a third person join the stream, and he got it working in, 2 minutes?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. He was like, you guys had the wrong version. You just have to find the right version of Font Awesome. And we were like, but we did that. He was like, no, do it like this. And we were like, oh, okay.
It was just like, pretend like you've done nothing and do it all over again.
That's right. Start over.
You sure?
You've ruined it too much. You need to start over. That's right. Shania Twain will be on our stream in 2021 to talk about the bot we modeled after. Chloe, by the way, is a DevRel. She's fantastic. Her and I built a Twitter bot called Shania Bot that everyday tweets, "Let's go girls." You can learn more about Shania Bot at her Twitter handle, @bot_Shania. I guess thank you for typing that. But yeah, it's a fun little Twitter bot, and we're about to add some more functionality to it in the coming weeks. It's going to be very good. This is
Nice.
what makes me famous is Shania Bot.
Just who's that guy that created Shania Bot? What's his name?
He's world renowned. He went from nobody to somebody. And my wife this morning said, Shania has a Christmas album, we should listen to it. And it turns out she did not. And I was like, who are you thinking of? And she goes, oh, it must have been Mariah Carey. And I was like, what? She goes, they look the same. And I put them side by side. I was like, actually, they kind of do if you look at their pictures from like 1991, 92.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I was looking at it and she was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. And I was like, how? But she was right. They look a little similar. Brown hair, that little 90s wavy business. And she's like...
Big hair?
They had big hair, for sure. Whose boots have been under your bed? So what do I need to be... Oh, I need to actually pull up the stuff we're going to be doing today. Hold on. Am I in... Okay, I'm in my online database, which I'm going to need. But
Don't
I
forget
also...
to share your screen.
I want to make sure I have all this stuff going first. And we can keep the bands up while I'm doing it.
Well, get all your logins done before we can see your passwords.
Exactly. Yeah. All my great passwords. You guys really, really definitely want access to my local database. For sure. Stick around, and we're going to put my database keys on the screen later. It'll be good.
Terrifying.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. That's very bad news. You know what I hate about the local database is how hard it is to get the database turned on because I always forget how to do it.
I know. I don't remember either. It's my MySQL Workbench. Is that the name of it?
MySQL Workbench. Yep. And
then you click enough buttons and eventually something turns green.
Eventually, yeah. And I always forget, like, oh, there it is. There's literally a thing called startup shutdown.
Could do anything, though.
Yeah, who knows? There's this light switch, but I don't know what to do with it.
That's what they want you to think. It's what Big MySQL...
Big Oracle, actually Oracle, so.
Yeah, they are big.
They are real big. There we go. All right. My local is online. I am logged into PHP My Admin database.
Whew.
And we spun up my website, so there shouldn't be as big a load time. And, Visual Studio. I'll need that as well. Every poem is going to be Shania lyrics. Thanks, Chloe. Appreciate it.
Genius.
And we're working on your new favorite poem this week, not what I originally called I think the other project I have for metsandaround.com is like conference resources website.
Oh yeah.
'Cause that was my original idea. I was going to build a website so anytime I did a conference, people could go there to see the presentation if they wanted to. All right, I think I'm ready to share my screen.
Let's do it. Let's get into some code. Should probably tell the good folks on the Twitch about what we're thinking today.
All right.
What are we thinking today?
What are we thinking today? Today is we are going to be adding another table to my database because right now on your new favorite poem, as I do this to show it off, all of this stuff right here, the poems by Ocean Vuong with links to them and the picture, all of this is hard-coded on the index page, which that's the C#, that's the back page. Okay, so yeah, every time I want to have a poet, I create a section, which is the same thing as a div. It's just using semantic HTML, so it's a little more readable. And I hard-code everything in here using a for each loop to grab stuff from the database. But you're telling me, and this is terrifying to me, we can take all of these times that I'm doing it per author and just have a single for each loop if we make a new table in my database.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, we have for each loops going on, so we're kind of partially doing this. But what we're doing right now is each for each loop is using LINQ to pull out a specific author. So like right here we see poems from database dot where author is Martin Espada. And so the reason we're doing that is because we only have one table in the database. We have a table that defines all of the poems. And so Martin Espada has a couple poems in the database, and so it's pretty easy for us to pull them out. But what we don't have is any of the author information or the poet information in the database. And yeah, we were chatting about creating a new table where it would be a poet. It would be probably, we could do a bio or a description.
Yeah.
And I saw we already have the URL to their images, so we'll want to include that.
Yep.
And then, yeah, that'll give us a table of poets. And the same way we're iterating over the poems from database, we could transform this code, remove probably 100+ lines of code with a for each loop that just iterates over the poets. And then for each poet, we pull out their information and display it on the screen. And then the nice thing about that, thinking more long-term, because you're probably asking yourself, like, why would we spend the next few hours doing all this work just so we can delete code we've already written? Is that really worth it? And a couple months ago, I would have said no. But one of our previous episodes, we added a new page where anybody on the internet can submit their favorite poem. So we can share your favorite poem as well.
Let me go ahead and show that off.
Yeah. And so the problem now is there's a huge delay. This is all very manual because if I come in here, or let's say Chloe comes in here and adds Shania Twain, and then we have to manually add Shania Twain to that index page. And so wouldn't it be nice if we
If
could
fix this.
Yeah. But yeah, so would it be nice if we can just busted Chloe. But yeah, if we added a couple more lines here, we could have probably a drop down that says pick an existing author, or we could say add a new author. And then all that just goes into our database. And we still want to review it. We still want to make sure that we're not getting spammed with too many Shania Twain poems.
I wonder, I need to check and see. I'm worried she might have added Shania already.
But yeah, so we're still gonna be reviewing it. Like PJ ultimately has full control over which poems will actually make it to the website. But what's nice is what he's doing right now is he's doing this review, and all he has to do is essentially flip a bit in the database that says is verified, set that to true, and it'll appear on the website. But until we have this poets table, or maybe we call it the authors table, PJ has to verify the poem, then go into the code, create a whole nother section for this new poet, probably have to find the URL of an image, and do all this extra work. Whereas, hey, Whipch, whereas if we just put in a couple hours of work today, then we'll never have to do that work in the future, and we just have to flip a bit in the database, and your favorite poem will appear on the website.
As BoJack Horseman said in the show BoJack Horseman, that sounds like a problem for Friday, BoJack. We have the opposite idea. We're looking ahead at Friday, BoJack, and saying, hey, man, I don't want you to have a problem later. I'm going to take care of this now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Learning from our heroes.
And the good news is, like, we have a lot of stuff already written. Like, we have this architecture for the existing database. So it shouldn't be too difficult to almost, I mean, we could copy paste it, or we could use a little inheritance, and we could share the code between
inheritance.
the two tables.
I have not done anything with inheritance in a while.
Yeah, so we could get a little crazy with this, but anyways.
Where do we start?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's enough talking about it.
Where do we even start this? Okay, so we're going to be basically working with the database. So somehow we need to create a new table. And I need you to tell me how to do that.
Yeah, so the good news is we're using Entity Framework, specifically Entity Framework Core, because we're using .NET Core. And Entity Framework will do a lot of this work for us. And so, for example, what we have is we have our, there we go. In that models folder, PJ, you have a poem model.
Uh-huh.
So open that up. Show it off to the folks at home.
Hey, y'all. Check this out. It's definitely not something I borrowed from somewhere. All right.
But basically, this is what Entity Framework uses to generate the table in the database. And so if we create something like an author model, then we can tell Entity Framework to essentially auto-generate that. We write a little code around how to retrieve its information or save its information to the database, which that's kind of where that inheritance comes in from the code we already have for the existing tables and the existing database. And then we kind of cross our fingers and hope Entity Framework does its magic.
I am going to go ahead and open up the poem database stuff here, which is all stuff that you helped me write a million years ago when we first started doing it.
Yeah.
These are...
So what's really cool with this is this literally is I should say it literally is generic because it's not generic, but it is code that I copy paste from app to app. And what we can do, you see how things are like task of type poem. Mm-hmm. And let's see, like I'm sure everything returns a poem or ingests a poem, like every method. So remove poem, add poem. Mm-hmm. What we could do, we could use generics, and we could just say return. Well, in C# we use the letter T for this, so we just say return T, and then we have two classes inherit from this generic class that define T as a poem, and another one will define T as an author. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the best way to go about it. I'm assuming everything is going to work with Entity Framework and it's not going to get too mad at us. But let's actually try to do that first, PJ, before even adding anything new to the database. Because right now, the reason I say this is right now we have a working website. And we can make all these changes, change around this inheritance, use generics, add in the new table, and click run and hope it works. But what's probably a better idea is let's start with this foundation. I don't know if genericize is a word, but genericize
Let's
this.
genericize.
Let's genericize. It's like jazzercise. Let's jazzercise this class.
Yeah.
And then have our poem database inherit from it.
Okay.
And then see if that still works. Like, see if we broke anything. Because if this works, then we know we can build on top of it and continue with it. Mm-hmm. And the problems we hit down the road will be different problems, not anything to do with generics. So yeah, don't add. Let's see. How's the best way to do it?
Well, we need to create a new C#, like we're making a new class, but it's going to inherit from Poem Database, right?
Yeah, and so what I'm thinking is, you ever used the word abstract in C# before?
Oh my god, I did once, but I haven't. I'm relearning C# again, and I haven't gotten back to learning abstract yet. So
awesome. So the first thing I want to do is just remove the word public and replace it with abstract, because what abstract means is that nobody can initialize this class. Like, nobody can now, like, we cannot say new poem database. So, like, I can't say var poem database equals new poem database. That's what abstract means. Abstract means that this is, well, for our purposes here, this is going to be a base class that will let other classes inherit its functionality. And so I love using abstract. And the nice thing about abstract is you can also force the inheriting classes to do stuff for you.
All right.
So, like, with the abstract class, it means nobody can initialize this class. Nobody can create an object now called Poem Database.
And that's good, because there should be no Poem Database objects.
We're going to yes and no. We're just going to rename this class from Poem Database. We could just call it Base Database. So, like, it's the base class that's going to inherit.
Okay.
And so that's why I was like, I still want to create another class called Poem Database that inherits from Base Database. But, so yeah, you were totally right. But we will create a different class.
I feel like like a secret way to, like, make this easier of renaming this and, like, changing it, and then it changes everywhere that it's being used.
No, because you don't want to, actually. Database. So
Database.
Yeah, we don't want to rename it using Visual Studio, because that'll rename it everywhere else. Like, all the classes that are already using Poem Database will then be trying to use Base Database. Whereas what we'll do here is just basically exactly what you just did. Just rename this class without using any refactoring tools. We're going to break everything else in those other classes.
Oh, good.
But then we're going to create a new class called Poem Database. And it should flip back, and, like, everything else should just work.
Okay.
So before we forget, let's also change the name of this file, because in the folder structure, sometimes I forget to do that, and then, like, I go look and I'm like, where is Base Database?
P-Base. Hold up. PV Livin'.
PJ's Base Database.
Be here. Stick around for all the BoJack references. It's gonna be great. All right.
So, what we can do now is introduce generic. So, abstract means that this is literally a base class. Nobody can initialize it. We are literally forced to inherit this class from another class if we want to use it. With generics, we can just essentially say there's going to be a wildcard data type. And that's what you're going to... when you inherit from this class, then you can define that wildcard. So to do that, next to base database, we do an angle bracket and the letter T, and we close that angle bracket. I'm sorry, on the other side of base database.
My bad.
Way to follow instructions, BJ.
Yeah.
Do exactly what I told you to do.
You awful human.
So So now, anytime where it says poem, that should be replaced with T.
Okay.
And this is where we'll see maybe things get interesting.
I'm trying to actually. I realized I should take some notes on some of this because it's actually going to help me a lot. And also, I've been trying to make more clips from Twitch. So if I have an idea of like, oh, this is a good idea for a clip, instead of just trying to do it while we're doing it, this will help me later. So, yeah.
Right on.
I'm trying to grow my brand, guys. So if you want to support that, you can head to MetsandAround.com. There's a little buy me a coffee icon, and the coffee will help fuel me to building a brand. No one? All right. Generics clip.
Maybe we gotta put it. Nah, now it's on the stream.
Oh yeah.
Now nobody has any excuses.
That's right, guys. You can do it. Someone tweet us for a collab. Yes, Chloe. Tell them I'm in. It doesn't matter if it's paid or not. Well, it matters. Well, I don't know what to do. Chloe, you're my manager and my agent. Do whatever we gotta do. We actually, it's funny. Like we get to Brandon
You
and I
want
were
to be
hanging
famous,
out with.
right?
Aren't we hanging out with Chloe tomorrow as well? You want to be famous, don't you?
Yeah, we are gonna hang out with Chloe tomorrow. Because Chloe and I work together at Microsoft, and we've got a cool idea for a new show. Microsoft has been working on a new streaming platform called Learn TV, and so we'll say stay tuned. But if it works, if we get it approved, we're making our pilot episode tomorrow with PJ. Then PJ is in our first episode with us.
Bam.
Boom.
It's my
I hope
first
it does.
pilot.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right, so we've got this generic type T at the end of base database.
Yeah, and so on line 17, you can see we're referencing a list of type poem and a func of type poem.
Can I guess that we're going to replace it with a T?
That's right.
Hey! And I think I know why.
And then everywhere, every place in this method, so like line 21, where you're getting that red squiggle,
Yep.
also replace all the way at the end is the list of poems. And let's see what is going on. So what are we getting here? DB set poem. Oh, okay. Let's fix that first. Otherwise, we're going to get red squiggles all the way down as we make all these changes. So
Okay.
scroll all the way to the bottom. We have a nested class in here for our database context. And if anybody's wondering why we did this on purpose so that no other code anywhere else in this app can access the database. It has to go through this layer. So we've essentially created this database layer around it, and you have to use these methods for retrieving a poem, for saving a poem, doing all the database things. Because what we could have done, is made like a public class database context and just let anybody make any calls to the database anywhere. But then that does a couple problems. You're almost asking for bugs because maybe PJ likes to make database calls like this, and I like to make database calls like that. And something in the database changes in the future that maybe I changed it and I didn't know PJ was making the database calls like that over here. And so I could have just broken all of his work.
Thanks,
whereas
man.
here, I wouldn't do it. But here we're funneling everybody through the same database layer. Then on top of that, let's say, well, fingers crossed, we're still doing this in a couple years, or this website's still around in a couple years, rather. And we don't want to use MySQL anymore, or we don't want to use Entity Framework anymore. Well, all the code using Entity Framework and using MySQL is right here in this class. And so if a day comes along and PJ is like, hey, you know what? I want to learn NoSQL. And I'm like, but PJ, we already have a database with MySQL. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to rip it out and replace it with NoSQL. The only code we have to change is in this class. We don't have to change any other code anywhere else. So we're almost future-proofing by having this database layer. All right. So that being said, what we need on line 156 is we need to use a DB set of type T. We should probably rename it from poems.
We're just gonna go with base maybe instead.
So this is what's coming out of the database. Maybe just call it data. What's that movie with Data? Is that
You thinking Star Trek?
The Goonies?
Data? Is that a character from Goonies?
Right? Wasn't that the smart kid who like solved all the puzzles and he had the gadgets?
Was that his name? Yeah. See, when I think Data, I think of Star Trek.
Oh man.
Different worlds.
What's the red squiggle we're getting on under Data right now?
Oh, it's just being finicky. Type T must be a reference type.
I wonder if this is... So the class poem database might need a T as well. Put a T next to poem database context.
Up here?
Yeah, line 144. Let's see if that's... Okay, no. So the T's cool. So yeah, let's get rid of that. Show me the error message under data again. The type T must be a reference type. Oh, gotcha. So Entity Framework has rules. And it looks like
stupid.
It looks like one of the rules is that your table has to be an object or has to be a class. And probably a different way of saying that is you cannot just use a bool for your entire table.
Oh,
because
it's not allowed.
It doesn't even make sense if you think about it, because if we have a table in a database, like we have strings and bools and ints for that table, but if we just said the whole table is a bool, then why would we have a database? So this makes sense. And what we can do if we scroll all the way back up, where we define T at the top, we can actually use what's called a constraint. So we can constrain this generic, because right now T could be anything, and that's why Entity Framework's complaining. Because like T could be a bool, but I think if we just say so the way we can constrain this is after the closing angle bracket we say space where space T colon, and let's try class. So what we're saying here is where T is a class. And let's go all the way back down and see if...
Hey.
Yeah! Boom!
Hey! Great job, Brandon. That was a good fix.
Thanks. So what we've just said is you can inherit from this class now. This class is still abstract. We're still going to inherit from it. But we're forcing anybody who inherits this to make sure T is a class. Now, this is something maybe we kind of ignore and come back to, because this was some code we wrote to seed the database.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. To make sure it was created. That's right.
Yeah, and like this is code that's literally run the first time the website launches, and we have this database in the cloud that's already been seeded with this data. This code is never going to run again unless we migrate the database. So what I'm thinking is for now, let's just get rid of this code, this whole if block. I want to keep the database ensure created because that's always important. But we don't need that seed data anymore because it's not... Well, we've already seeded. Plus, I think there's a better way to do it.
That was I remember that was like a hard workaround that we ended up getting where it like took us a while to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, what I learned later, because I'm also new to Entity Framework Core, but I think there's an override method called like on seed that we should have been using. But I mean, what we did worked. And
it wasn't wrong.
But I think Entity Framework has some tools built in for us that probably would have made our lives a little bit easier, but that's fine. We figured it out. We banged our head against the wall for like an hour, and we got it to work.
That was 1 hour of the 4.5 hours when we were trying to make this database the first time. I think that was 25% of our time was that if block.
I know, right? It's like, and then people that don't understand writing code, like really bad managers that I'm sure we've all.
I haven't, not yet.
You will, but
Give it
like,
time.
What do you mean it took you 2 hours to write this one line of code? It's like, well, I had to figure everything out first.
Yeah, let me explain, bud.
So the only other thing I want to fix down here is I want to refactor the name of this DB context class, because we could just call it database context. We basically get rid of the poem, and let's actually not do it like this. Let's actually use the refactor tool.
All right.
Or the rename tool, yeah. There you go.
All right.
And then now you can delete the word poem. Oh.
Wow.
And see how it says it'll rename 10 references in one file?
Yeah.
So all the code above in this file that's referencing this class will also be renamed as well.
That's really cool.
I know, right? Thanks, Visual Studio.
All right. And it has a way to include comments and include strings. That's pretty rad.
I
Very
know,
smart.
man.
Look, Visual Studio is...
Back in the day.
Back in the dark ages of 2015. This is great. Okay, cool. So yeah, there it is. It got renamed. It's just database context. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, and so now, basically what we just did, we renamed it because that could be our poem database. It could be our poets database, or actually, I do want to call it author. Because I know I'm going to get confused between poem and poet.
Poets, that'd be
and
hard.
Like, well, just every time on the stream, it would be like, I'm sorry, PJ, did you say the poet database or the poem database? And I think if we just call it author, that
was honestly, as soon as you said, and we might call it author, I was like, oh crap, that's a really good idea. I assume whenever I see poems, because down here we have this public, this public property data. We want to, where it used to be poems, we want that to change now, right?
Yeah, and actually, you know what we should have done? We should have used the rename tool here. So change data back to poems.
There we go.
And then just say rename to data. And I think that'll work.
Wow. 6 references. Bam.
No one's got time for copy paste.
Yeah, come on, what is this? And then that messes up, but that's because we don't have... Where's ID? Where's that coming from?
That's a really good question. It doesn't exist. And this is... is a...
Oh, come on.
So, if you open up the poem model, what we were doing previously was referencing the fact that the poem model has a GUID ID.
Right.
And so when one of these methods that says get poem from database requires the developer to pass in the ID that you want to retrieve.
Right.
So, or in this case, remove. Because we don't know what to remove unless you tell us. And the only unique characteristic to each poem is the ID, because we can't say author because there's going to have multiple poems by multiple poems by the same author. So anyways, what we just blew up was we're no longer using poem for our type. We're using T. And we constrain T to be a class. But what we're going to have to do is constrain it a little bit more to say that everything in this database has a GUID, and that GUID is called ID. So what I think we can do is take advantage of interfaces.
Okay.
And we can create an interface in that models folder, and maybe we just call it iDatabase model. And so
There it is. All right. So in the models.
Oh yeah, so the models folder in the Solution Explorer, we're just going to add another class.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to add it, and well, technically it's going to be an interface, but yeah, we just say add class for now. And I think we can call it I. Oh, that was cool.
I keep doing that.
Actually, delete that because
Yeah.
as you were clicking it, I saw Visual Studio has a template for interfaces. I always just hand create mine. So yeah,
Interface, and then we're gonna call it.
Yeah, I think like I database model, or yeah, that's fine. And we called it I blah 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 because it's convention in C# that if you create an interface, it always starts with the letter I. And the reason we do that is when we see this label, this name elsewhere in the code, we'll know immediately that this is an interface. Like we don't have to think twice because we just have an I in front of it. So yeah, what an interface is, actually, hey PJ,
don't do this.
What's an
to me.
interface?
I'm googling it right now.
Or have you ever used them?
Interface C#. To be fair, there's so much with C# that I originally learned with Codecademy that I have since forgotten because I have not had to use it. And what's good that I realized I don't remember this stuff. I'm going back and relearning C#. Like I completed the C# course. It says
Nice.
I completed it, but
Certificate. Boom.
I erased all of my progress and started back over at the beginning. And I did it on purpose because I was
okay.
like, when I first did methods, like this is where things started to get hard for me. I was like, logic,
Yes.
yeah, data types, whatever. And then methods showed up. I was like, uh-huh. And then by the time I got to classes and objects, I was just faking it all the way through and I didn't retain anything. So look, interfaces and inheritance.
Oh, cool.
It's a full...
That's what we're doing today.
Check it out. So since programming is complex, here's my answer. It's easy to make mistakes. For example, so yeah, I don't remember what interface, but hey, don't worry, I got another day left. They said I worked today. Thanks, Codecademy.
Nice. Yeah, I think the best way to think of an interface is it's a contract. It's a set of rules that if you implement, or if you say if I'm a class and I say that I implement the we're gonna get there. If I'm a class,
Believe in us.
if I'm a class and I say that I implement the iDatabase model interface, then I have to do everything that's defined in this interface.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to create just one read-only property called ID that is a GUID. So we can just say, yep.
Public, read only.
Sorry, don't use the read-only word, but do keep going. I'll explain it in a second.
Public ID. No, we need a type. It's going to be a GUID.
Yep.
And it's going to be called ID.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do capital I, lowercase d. And that's going to be what?
So it's a property that. So yeah, when we say read-only properties, it is silly because read-only just means there's no setter.
Just like that.
But yeah, I say it's silly because when we create read-only fields, we use the keyword read-only, and so
you don't do it for a property, but you will do it for a field.
Yeah, I don't know what came first. I don't know the history there, but yeah, just by not having a setter,
Yeah.
it means that we have to, or we can only initialize this variable, and we can never change it.
Right.
So it is read only.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah. So this is perfect.
Okay.
What?
So
Yeah,
now-
what this says is any class that implements this interface has to include a GUID ID. Boom. That's right. And so now if we jump over to the POEM model, we kind of cheated because POEM already had an ID, but we can now say that POEM inherits I interface. Dang it. POEM inherits I database model.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, just read my mind. There we go. And so
Naturally.
what's
Yo,
cool
I did
now,
that right though with the colon. I was like, yeah, I know how to do an inheritance. And I was like, oh crap, I
Yeah,
do.
man, you nailed it.
Hire
So-
me.
So what's funny is this just worked. Like there's no red squiggles.
Yeah.
If we scroll down and just comment out. Whoa, words are hard today, man.
Yeah, it's
comment
rough.
out line 23 and scroll back up to the top because now we're getting yelled at. And we're getting yelled at because it's like, whoa. You said you were going to abide by this contract. This contract says you have a GUID called ID, and I don't see that. And so,
Yo, so it really is. It's just making sets of rules for your classes.
exactly. And so the next question becomes, why the heck did we do all this? So if we jump back to that base database class, instead of constraining base database to be class, let's try this first. Let's change class to the interface.
Okay.
And let's first scroll all the way down to the database context and make sure we didn't break that entity framework rule. Okay, so we have to do both. So we can say class, or we could say iDatabase model comma class,
Yeah.
and let's just make sure now entity framework's happy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's really interesting when we're talking about like inheritance and
Oh,
stuff.
we just got yelled at. What's that?
Where? Here?
Yeah. Class struct null cannot be combined, duplicated. Must be specified first.
Oh, so
Okay.
class has to go
Then
first.
class,
Oh.
comma.
Damn, whatever you say, Visual Studio.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeez. All right. Yeah.
But it is
Didn't think
rad
it-
that you can
Didn't think it was a
just
big deal.
you can just make. This is what I like about C#, and I don't know if any other language does this or not. But this is what I've really liked about C#. Is this like idea of like everything gets its own little area, and then you can just kind of like connect to it and be like, so I already made this over here. I need you to inherit everything from that, and also don't forget to follow these rules that I told you to follow.
Yeah.
It just-
I mean,
It just makes the code strong.
and honestly, that's why I love it too. And that's as you grow and start learning about more languages and kind of get into like theory of computer science stuff. What C# is an object oriented language. So object oriented means like we initialize objects and we inherit. There's a lot of inheritance going on, and the converse to that, at least today, is functional programming, where functional doesn't have inheritance. Functional doesn't, or does functional do inheritance? Ooh, I'm getting out past my skis here.
That's right.
Functional's a little different. But then there's also the fact that C# it's a type safe language. Like everything we've done right now is to be very specific. Whereas in languages like JavaScript, we could it's almost akin just saying like T. We don't have to constrain T. T can be whatever. And we just always assume that T is perfect and is exactly what we want. And that's cool because you can really knock out code quickly. You don't have to, there's none of this overhead. Like you didn't have to go create an interface somewhere else. You didn't have to then
Right.
have a different class implement that interface. But the reason I prefer this method is because it is very strict and it saves you from accidentally introducing bugs. Because if T could be anything and we just always assumed that T is going to be perfect, well, a couple years down the road, maybe you're adding code to this and you write the code, it compiles, the website runs, and you go, oh, it looks like everything's working, and you ship it. And then it breaks because T wasn't
Someone
perfect.
tried to make T a bool.
You cannot do that.
It's not allowed.
So, going all the way back down to, I think we were in like remove poem model class, or the method
yeah.
remove.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you see what's different now?
So now, poem from database is you can't convert T to your new favorite poem.
Look at line 90.
Line 90.
Remember how there was a red
Oh,
squiggle
that's
there?
right. Yeah, the ID is fixed. That's the whole reason we did the whole thing.
Yeah,
So-
Oh, go ahead.
There it is. Look, it tells you GUID iDatabaseModel.id get, like it's referencing that property directly because we inherited it.
Yeah, because we literally just told our constraints that it has to be an iDatabase model, and the interface iDatabase model says, well, if you want to implement me, then you have to implement this ID.
Yep.
And so now we can reference ID in this class, even though we're going to, in the future, in a couple minutes, inherit from, we're going to create poem database class. We're going to create a author database class.
Yeah.
And right now, base database has no idea we're going to do that, but this still works. And so
Yeah.
that's like the magic of interfaces and inheritance and why I love C#.
interface.
So, oh yeah,
Alright.
so why are we getting that last red squiggle in that?
So this is saying it's not null, and you can't convert type T to your new favorite poem .models.poem. Which, man, that models page, I don't know what it's referencing. But it's mad about the T for some reason.
Right. And part of this is just
this
because
is a task poem right here.
there it is. Nice.
That's what I
Yep,
thought.
we just got to genericize it. Again, assuming that's a word. And probably other things we should do is, like, the naming convention we've used in this class is all very poem based.
Yeah, it's all pretty specific.
So I think, like, oh, here's another one. You see line 78?
Oh Lord, is deleted is from the other one. So do we need to add that to our interface?
Exactly. Which
good.
makes sense, right? Because if something's going into the database, it should have an ID. If something's going into the database, it should be able to be deleted. And actually, I mean, while we're in here, we could
We might
probably
as well
chat
put
about this.
everything, right?
all the important things, right? So like, why did I say it like that? All the things that are database specific. So like we just said, everything's going to have an ID. We want to be able to do soft deletes, which is where we set is deleted to true instead of actually removing it from the database.
Yeah.
We want to be able to verify stuff because we're going to have users submitting data, and you're going to be the one flipping bits. And so I think it makes sense to have bool is verified. But yeah, what else do we have? Oh, yeah,
I
those
was
are
gonna-
all good
I mean,
down there.
Yeah.
Is deleted, created at. I wouldn't do author title URL.
Yeah, I'll get rid of
but-
those. But we've
Yeah, like,
already
is
got
deleted,
ID.
created at, updated at, is verified. Those are all just, that's like database basics that you gotta have.
And we're making all of these read-only.
Yeah, I would delete line 13.
No URL.
No, not for the interface, because if we add another table to the database in the future, then I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah, maybe we have like an images database or something like that, and images are saved to disk, and we're not using URLs. Something like that I could see going on. But
And that one, now this is something that we did to protect ourselves, is verified was automatically false. But I was getting a red squiggle when I set it to false. That was saying, hey, instance properties cannot have initializers.
right. So yeah, the interface, it's important to remember the interface doesn't do anything. It just defines what we call the shape of the data. So
it's just rules. Just like laws don't do anything. You need people to enforce them.
There you go.
Cool.
Yep. So yeah, interfaces will just make sure that if you inherit or if you implement this interface, you're gonna have to do a bool. But what's kind of cool is we are scoping the interface to be read-only, like you were just saying. Everything's just get. There's no set. If you jump to your POEM model, you'll see you are actually using set. Oh, it's giving you a little smudge there. What's that say?
Oh, it's saying delete it. Oh, it's telling us to delete it because we've got it in the interface now. They're like, you don't need this. It's like, well, we might.
Right. And so the interface is the bare minimum, right? If we want to expand on that and add a setter, we're allowed to do that.
Okay.
Or there's other things like around like public, private, like if we wanted to have like a public getter, private setter, there's all sorts of crazy things that we can take advantage of. But
I just learned this again. If we wanted to make like our setter private, that's no longer like a standard. You can't do that with just a property. You have to have a field too, right?
Actually, we could make the setter private just by adding the word private in front of it. So you can say get semicolon private set. But if you wanted to, like, what you're saying is not wrong. And definitely that's what you had to do back in the day. But the private set is kind of just like a little cheat code. But you know what, man? Now that I think about this stuff, the reason these are public getters and public setters is because Entity Framework forces that.
Yeah.
If anybody else is new to Entity Framework uses reflection to do a lot of this initialization and pull things and inserting things into the database. And when it pulls something out of the database, it uses reflection to create that object. And in order for reflection to work, you have to have a public getter and you have to have a public setter. So now that I think about it more, base database should require a public setter because Entity Framework does. And so, we could actually flip back over to base database and iDatabase model. iDatabase model should, because Entity Framework won't work unless there's a public setter. So let's just add get set to all of these.
So even though we don't want it to be able to set.
I was trying to be clever. I was trying to make a rule but not be too restrictive. We just need the semicolon there.
Oh, after set. I was like, what's happening?
So I was trying to keep this interface flexible depending on who inherited from it. Like maybe we have a class and we don't want to have a public setter. But, what's that smudge now?
It's the same thing.
What? Click the light bulb. I'm curious what it's trying to get you to fix. What? It wants us to delete the code that we just wrote. That's weird, IntelliCode.
But I think it's saying it because over here in this, there's already a set. Like,
maybe just save the file.
Oh, let's try and save it.
I wonder if that's how IntelliCode is picking this up. No?
And that's that, and...
I mean, IntelliCode is kind of new. Like, this was just recently introduced. I think you have to even opt into it still in Visual Studio.
I think it just feels like it's saying, hey, if like there's already something like this somewhere else, why do you need it?
But it's wrong. So I would... it gave you the option to say, like, don't give me code suggestions like this.
How about I do that then?
That's kind of what I'm thinking, because, like, we know what we're doing in IntelliCode.
Yeah, I definitely know what I'm doing here, guys.
Okay, so cool. So we have the iDatabase model all fleshed out. And I think we just go back to base database and keep genericizing.
Chugging away. All right. So...
Hashtag genericize.
Genericize.
Hashtag jazzercise.
I'm gonna go ahead and get all these like type poem out of the way first, and then we'll focus on other stuff because I feel like that's something that makes me feel better.
Totally.
And then
and there's a lot of them.
Yeah. There's a lot. And then oh my god, here that we need the type T there, don't we?
All the T's.
All the T's.
You probably
Spill the tea, queen. Sorry, that's appropriation. All right.
Did we get it?
Task type poem. Gotta get rid of that guy. Task type poem.
Oh, the patch. Ooh.
See, now
that's
you're
gonna be a fun
finding
challenge.
even more problems in the future.
That's it. I got it.
Task T.
Well, task is
Oh,
cool.
actually, that doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to replace poem.
And crushed. Oh, there.
Ooh, yeah, good catch. Wow.
Yeah, that would have really. We would have been stuck for a while on that one, I bet.
An entity framework would have let us do it.
That's right.
For shame.
Poem.
Yeah, Wow, we use the word poem a lot.
Isn't it great? And we're going to have to replace it all, aren't we? Alright, I don't see the type poem anywhere else, I think. That's good. Alright.
Yeah.
All right.
And so, yeah, what I would like to do next is, let's fix the naming conventions, because now that it's not a poem, this poem from database, delete poem function, delete poem.
Oof.
So I feel like you could probably just do a find and replace with the word poem.
well, because there's also lowercase and uppercase.
Yeah, I was just wondering, can we make it type safe? What's that do?
Match
case.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Now
And we want
that arrow next to the X, I think. I'm sorry, next to the poem. Arrow next on the other side of.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, and that's what we're gonna replace it with. So that's just old code.
Oh, Lord. All right, and we're replacing it with data.
Sure. Data from database.
Data from database.
Yeah.
Oh man, is that gonna? Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. It's like it's super redundant, but
All right, enter.
it works.
All right, and replace next. Replace all.
Oh wait. Don't. Yeah, click no, because the scope is the current project, and we want to do it in the current file.
Current file.
Current document,
block.
I guess.
Let's try that. 26 occurrences
Okay.
replaced.
Yeah, if it was gonna change the word poem in your whole project,
The whole project.
like that's the name of
And-
the website.
I'm assuming the capital P poem we also need to replace with capital D data.
Totally.
Okay, good. That's what I was hoping to hear. Capital. That's data with a capital D, y'all.
Boom.
Now, maybe not for the using, right? Yeah.
I mean, do it because we see that those three places, like we can just clean those up.
That should be the only three where we're really. Yeah, all the rest of this is like all naming convention stuff. Patch poem function, delete. And how about down here? Is there anything? Okay, no. So we'll just fix those three. We'll turn them back to poem.
Yeah.
All right, let's do. Dios mío. No.
Oh, you had it. IntelliSense filled it out for you.
Really?
Hmm?
Wait, really? Hold on. I wanna try that again.
There you go.
Oh, I see what happened here. Your new favorite data. That's so funny. Your
And
new
that one.
favorite data. I don't know why, but that makes me laugh. Anywho, we did it.
All right, so we're almost done.
With this part.
Yes.
Want to make sure.
So the last thing, something I noticed when we were scrolling is that patch method. So let's scroll down to patch because there's a lot of red squiggles.
Yeah, you did in fact say, "Oh, the patch," and I just ignored you.
You're like, not now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what patching means is something already exists in the database, and you just want to update its values. To be honest with you, I'm curious if anybody's watching and knows Entity Framework, if there's a better way to do it, let us know. But what we did was we wrote this method that just makes sure that all the properties in our, well, what was the POEM model are up to date. So what we got to do now is, so I like the idea of keeping this around because it's taking advantage of, yeah, what's the best way to do this? Because I like the fact that it'll still update is deleted and updated at. What do we do? Why don't we just do this? Let's make this an abstract method. So yeah, if you say public abstract task on line 50, then we can kind of kick the can down the road a little bit. So what we're going to do now is delete this entire method because abstract. Maybe I should explain what an abstract method is. So abstract class means nobody can initialize it. You have to inherit from it if you want to use it. Mm-hmm. And abstract method means that we're not defining this method here. It's almost like an interface, right? Where we're saying that this method is going to exist, but whoever inherits us will do that.
They have to define it. Okay.
Yeah, so we can delete this whole code block.
Delete everything within the code block.
And yeah, and the abstract method, you don't even use the squiggles or the curly brackets. It's just going to be a semicolon at the end of line 50.
Yeah.
And boom. And then what I like to do, just for organization, is to move abstract methods above all the other methods, just so you don't miss it, because it's such a tiny piece of code that's surrounded by lots and lots of code. So I would put it in between the connection string and the get all datas. Get all datas. Yes.
That's amazing. Might need to get all datas. In between the connection string and get all, so here at line 25.
Oh, like line 16. So this
16.
should be the first method.
Got it.
And you don't have to do that, but I like to do that because, again, that one line of code could easily get buried and missed, and
right.
Move it to the top. That's like a life lesson. If you want somebody to read a sentence in your email, make it the first sentence.
It's got to be the first sentence.
Oh, dude, I hate people that I'll get a book. It's just like a novel.
Hey, how you doing? Looking to check in. I'm so glad that we got to meet the other day. And then it's like 3 paragraphs later. It's like, so anyway, I have a request.
It's like, just open with that, and then you can do the pleasantries, and then you can give the explanation. But like, if I don't know what the context is,
you're just wondering the whole time.
Life lessons. So I think we're done in this file. Do we have any more red squiggles?
There's no issues found.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of get all datas here. That's pretty good.
Oh man.
Insert datas. we need to rename these, Brandon. This is bad.
Yeah, just chop off the S.
Yeah. Go datas. Actually, I should be. Hold on.
Oh, data source.
Is that it? Oh, those are the only ones. Okay, cool. All right. We're good.
What was that? What's that red squiggle right there for then? Oh, no, there's still a get all datas on line 17.
Oh, thank you. It searched from where my cursor was.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So,
guys, we
now
did
it. We created a class that does nothing.
All right, so now we need to make the poem database that inherits from base database, and we need to make an author database that inherits from base database, correct?
Yeah, so let's do the first. Then we can run everything, make sure everything is working. And then, yeah, we'll start playing. Then we'll add the new table like we
That,
set
like
out
you
to
said
do.
we were going to do. Are we doing add class?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to call this poem database.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a class and a blah.
There you go. Let's see if you
no.
can solve the squiggle.
Let's see what it tells me. Generic take. Oh. Nope. Nope. Maybe. Nope.
Nice.
Holy shit! That made sense to me.
Nice, dude. You nailed it.
But then there's also this.
Yeah, so what's that one say?
Inconsistent accessibility. It is less accessible.
That one's my fault. Back in base database, I said change the word public to abstract.
Yeah.
It should be public abstract.
Oh, okay. Because right now it's private abstract. Because it defaults to private, right? And does not implement... Inherited abstract member base database type poem dot patch data poem. So that's something in the patch. Oh wait, the patch got moved up here.
And? Why is it only one line? Because that's a method.
Yeah. It makes me think that the thing that we need to do to fix it is we have to actually, since you said we kicked the can down the road, we need to actually do something about that here in this code block.
Right. So an abstract method means the inheriting class has to implement it.
So we have to implement it here.
That's right.
And do we do that in the code block, right?
Yeah, and actually, if you just click on the light bulb for that red squiggle, Visual Studio will do some of the work for you. So that
Implement
abstract. Boom.
And when you use an abstract, there has to be an override somewhere.
Bingo.
I remember that.
And so what I'm thinking here is we just copy paste some code. So if you pop open GitHub desktop, it should show all the code we deleted. And one of the things we deleted was that block of code.
You said open up Diablo and change the point of the stream, right?
Exactly.
That's what? Okay.
Do you think we'd get more viewers?
Dude, the Diablo streaming community is wild. There's dudes that do like 8-hour like marathons, like even longer. There was a guy who did it for 24 hours. He was playing Diablo, and like I would love that.
Gosh.
There's a few times I've tried to stream Diablo, and it's been frustrating because my system just can't handle it. It can't do Diablo and OBS Studio. It just can't do it all at the same time. I wish it could, though. So we just copying base database? Is that the story?
Oh, no. So click on the poem database, and let's find that patch method.
Here.
Patch poem. Yep. And let's just copy that. All the way up. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I need to get the
50.
return.
And the public.
Line 50.
Yeah, that's fair because that's already written. Well,
That's what I figured.
it's
It's too late. It's too late. It's too late.
We're on the same page.
Come on. All right. So throw new, not implement an exception. I think we can get rid of that, right?
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
about
just
to
hit
implement
paste
it.
and we'll figure out what to do from there. So scroll up. All right. So yeah, just delete line 13, 14. Because those, just 13 and 14. And then we probably have an extra squiggle bracket down at the bottom, curly bracket. And then, oh, hold your mouse over the POEM database context squiggle. Oh, that doesn't exist anymore. We changed it to database context. That's right. And then that is going to yell at us because it's inaccessible due to its protection level. So by design, we wanted to protect this database context. That's what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
So what we can do now is if we jump back into base database, we can actually make that protected. So if we scroll all the way down, right now it's a private class, or technically that means it's internal. Just make it a protected class. And that means anybody who inherits base database will be able to see this. So we're still in our database layer. We're not exposing this to the rest of the code. So it's still safe. And now we'll get rid of, we have gotten rid of that red squiggle in POEM database.
Correct.
So yeah, let's figure out what else it's mad about.
So this used to be data. Do we need to change that to data?
Because we changed it to data. Yeah.
I'm doing this the slow way. And then single async.
We're probably not using link. That's probably what that light bulb wants us to do. Oh wait, link is there.
Turn it on.
Wait, so maybe I should read it. I'm really good at making assumptions.
Does not contain a definition.
Click the light bulb because maybe it's an entity framework namespace.
Oh,
yeah.
There it is. Yeah. And then this should be data.
And
perform database function. Holy smokes. Okay. Inaccessible due to protection level. And that's from base database POEM. Perform database function.
Yeah, so perform database function is a method that we also have to make protected. So you can actually right click on that and just say go to definition.
Oh, smart.
Boom. And so instead of leaving it private, make that protected. Again, protected means only classes inheriting from base database can see this. So we're still safe. We're not opening this up to the world.
It's basically it's private, but it's like but if you need to get in, I can help you.
We're family.
It establishes a mafia in your code.
And I think we're done with red squiggles.
No issues found.
So
we did it, folks.
There's only one more thing I saw. There was a red squiggle on base database. And go all the way to the top.
Yeah, what is going on here? Inconsistent accessibility. Less accessible.
So yeah, base database is public. And I'm actually wondering, do we need it to be public? And my answer right now is no. So I think, let's get rid of public. And let's get rid of public for POEM database. Because public would mean, like, if we look at the Solution Explorer on the right and you scroll up, you only have the one project.
That's true.
Public means if we had another project, like maybe we created a mobile app using Xamarin.
Maybe.
So yeah, like maybe we had a mobile app that, well, why would the mobile app need to talk this? Maybe we had another website that also needed this database.
Yeah.
Then we can make it public. But like, I always default to private as possible. So like, if it doesn't need to be public, don't make it public. But yeah, man, I say, let's do some Control KD, clean up our, like I see some formatting stuff here.
Yeah.
Like line 14, I think can be deleted. That's just an empty line. And then probably same thing in the base database. Keep that space there.
Actually, that one's good.
Yeah, I like that for readability.
And where?
Oh, just base database and do the Control KD down there because
Eh,
we changed a lot of stuff. All right,
Control K deed.
and let's build
I
it.
want to fix something real quick that has been bothering me,
Ooh,
and it's just a matter of what I'm saying here. Button. Where's the button? Value. There. It says generate random poem, and I realized that meant mean, oh, we're gonna make a crazy poem for you, and it should say read random poem is what the button should say. So
that makes a lot of sense.
okay.
So yeah, man, if we did everything right, we should be able to just run the website right now.
No. All right. I mean, let's see what happens running on my local database. Let's see. Do you remember how long this was taking last time?
Oh, builders. All right, so we missed something. What did we miss?
All right.
Oh, because now it's instead of get all poems, it's get all data.
Oh man. Okay, and that's
So just double click that error message, it'll take you right to the line of code.
get all datas.
Easy.
And the index model is inconsistent accessibility. So
Oh, these are all public. Scroll up and just make this class. Yeah, get rid of public. I think when you create a new class in Visual Studio, it makes it public by default, which is something I've never agreed with. I think everything should be as private as possible, so private by default.
Ew. Add poet model less successful than pages dot add poet model. Oh man.
Oh yeah, go to that C#. You can just right click and say go to definition.
There it is. I just changed that one, I thought.
Oh, it might be good. Try to do a rebuild. You can right click in the Solution Explorer and say rebuild. The second from the top.
Oh, it's right there. Fool that
So
I am.
we'll still get some build errors, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We got 8 of them. And a couple warnings.
Keep
Okay.
going through the list.
Here we go. First one. Insert poems does not contain a definition, so it should be insert data. There we go.
Happy days.
Less accessible than the method. We're changing this to private automatically. And add poet model. This is the one where we had the problem before. Okay.
So add poet model is less accessible than property pages. Add poet model. Okay.
So yeah, we got to go to the C#.
But it is private. That's fine.
Maybe this.
No, because that's a constructor. We want the constructor to be public.
These guys.
So interesting. Go back to that. What's it called? The HTML version of this.
Oh, the view model.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Add poet. Okay.
Huh. So it looks like this is just defaulted to being a public class. And I don't see anything in here. Maybe this is just a quirk of ASP.NET Core that we have to live with. But let me see if I can Google real quick to say ASP.NET Core CS HTML.
I'm proud that this is the first time we've had to Google this whole time.
Yeah, we've been crushing it, huh?
This has been pretty good. Hour and a half of work, no Google. That's a record.
Internal friendly. Let's see. The CS HTML. Yeah, because what's weird is I don't see the word public anywhere. I just got to figure out the right thing to punch into Google. So, I don't know. Maybe this is just an ASP.NET Core thing that we'll have to live with, that all the classes do have to be public. Which, I mean, whatever. If that's what the framework dictates, then that's what we'll do. So much for me wanting to make me wanting to eradicate the public keyword.
It's not allowed.
So
then...
let's undo all that. Let's start with the interface iDatabase model and make that public.
Okay.
Because then everything will trickle up from there. Public plus plus. It's really public.
It's real public.
So that now broke POEM database. It broke base database. We'll see everything. And then all the other places where we deleted the word public.
I don't remember where it was. No,
I don't know about this.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
If you just build the project again,
oh yeah.
New sets of errors.
Let's go. Rebuild. Okay.
I wonder if there was somebody shouting at their TV or their computer.
They were like, "Don't do it!
Stop removing public."
So this is all stuff. Poem database could not be found. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that was
What's the light bulb say? Oh, it gave it. Don't do that. Let's check something first. Open up our POEM model. And what is its namespace? Because we want to be consistent here. So it is using dot models. Okay. Oh, I see the problem. We created poemdatabase.cs in the models folder. It should be in the database folder. We were one folder off. It's not going to take a long time.
It's like, and I'm assuming iDatabase model can stay here. Is that okay to stay in models?
Oh, totally. It's literally a model.
Okay.
And then here, see how it gave you the namespace .models? Visual Studio, whenever you create a new class, will use your folder structure to create these namespaces. So let's fix this because it should be in the database namespace to match the folder structure.
Done.
And then all those red squiggles are just because we need to import the models namespace. So you can right click on the red squiggle and the light bulb will bring in the using statement.
Like that?
Yeah.
Like
and
that.
so that should fix
that error. Okay.
Yep.
View data dictionary, less accessible.
So what? Did we make index model private?
Is that a thing I can do up here?
No. I meant the C# code.
Oh. Index.
Yeah, you can just right click on it.
Oh, thank you. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, we made that. So let's make that public again. We'll control KD to.
Okay. Yes. And this. And make it public. And hey.
Cool.
No build errors.
Now we should be able to run the website.
Now we can do it. Now let's see what other ways we broke it in.
Ooh. Ah.
Yep. What'd you do?
More build errors.
All right. Poet's models inaccessible.
Rendering. Let's make sure Poet's model's public.
It's got a private set.
I just meant the class. So this is all generated code.
Oh, I
don't
didn't write this?
stuff.
Are you sure I didn't write this? I'm pretty sure I wrote all this. Okay, so we need to go to Poet's model. Where the hell is Poets
Wait,
model?
Poets model.
Yeah.
We have a poem model. What? Do we have a Poets model?
Oh my god.
Oh, it's the
This one.
page model.
Hey, look who's smart now. Maybe. I don't know. It didn't go away. Refactor.
Well, that's, yeah, because that code was auto-generated at compile time.
Yay.
Nice. Yeah. Let's make sure the website still works. Because, really, we did nothing. We just re-architected some code.
We literally did nothing, and we are 2 hours into the stream.
Thanks for joining us.
Hour and a half. That's okay. So an hour and a half. All right. What are the...
Table.
Return connection. Table local DB. Date.
Oh. Is your database running?
It's running, but I don't have local DB data. It doesn't exist here. I have local DB.
Oh.
Because we didn't automatically create one.
Wait. I'm pretty sure I know how to fix this.
We messed up.
Hang on. Let's go to the poem model. And I think Entity Framework lets us put an attribute on it. So, yeah, you can go ahead and stop this. It's just going to crash and
I was
burn.
going to say, it's just going to... It's just broken.
So,
Is it not in the... Down here, like the ensure created?
let's try something first, because... Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But let's jump over to the poem model class.
Okay.
And on above public class poem, let's create an attribute, and we're just gonna have to use IntelliSense a little bit. So give me a square bracket, and let's just start typing like something like table name. What is that? Schema. Hang on. Let's read that IntelliSense, because we're kind of guessing. But basically, I think there's a way we can tell it what the table name is. So yeah, I think if we say table, and then so go ahead and hit tab, and I think we'll be able to do an open parenthesis and pass in a string.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So this is going to be our poem database. So we want to call it poem.
Oh wait,
And
uppercase, right?
what's in the database?
Poems, lowercase.
Oh, lowercase poems.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. This might not work, but let's try it. So, close parenthesis, control KD. Boop. Nice. And let's run it again. Let's see if that solves anything.
I'm nervous. And hey!
Yes! All right. Woo! I was like, all that architecting we just did ain't gonna work.
For nothing.
cool.
All right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is it hot here? Is everybody else sweating?
Is anyone else terrified? I do love that when you're looking at like the local database, I've got this DSF poet in there from when I like randomly added one. And when you look at actual one, there's actually a poet in there that I added when we were practicing that you can't actually read on my website yet. Yo, it's spinning up so fast. I'm not accidentally paying for like
Oh, did you
Azure,
check
am
that
I?
for Metzing Around?
I didn't, because now they're both spinning up so fast. Like, look at this. Now, this is the first time Metzing Around's being initialized in like a million years. So, like...
Okay, so that's probably still at a free tier.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for anybody curious why we don't, or why we think the website loading is a bad thing, is we don't want to pay for Azure. These are all running on Azure. Azure has a free tier, but which is great because we can run a website for free. But the downside is Azure's not running the website 24/7. But as soon as you go to the website, then Azure spins out all the resources. It's basically like Azure is clicking run, just like we're doing in Visual Studio, anytime you go to actually access the website.
Sorry, I always heart and retweet my Shania bot.
Nice.
Look at the engagement.
Let's vote, girls.
Look at the engagement. Oh yeah.
I mean, we did just elect our first female vice president.
And that's what Shania bot's been about this whole time.
If there's ever been a better reason for having a Let's Go Girls.
Look at I've forgotten a lot, haven't I? Oh, this is when we got her to one time. That don't impress me much.
Yeah, I like how Shania got 19 likes and Chloe got 8.
I like that too. All right, sorry. I got distracted.
But look, man, we did it. We did it.
So that's good. So it works. So now we got to do the same thing for the poets table that we want to, for the authors table. Authors.
Don't do this to me, man.
Authors. Sorry.
Okay. But let's just commit these changes to GitHub, because anything we do next, if it doesn't work, then we can just revert everything. We can walk away. If we get just crazy frustrated and throw our hands up and say we're coming back next week, then
we want a good
we'll be able to do
save point. We want a good save point.
Yeah, that's right. We just beat the boss of level 1. We want to save the game.
So if I say, for instance, created inheritance class, base database, that's really what we did here. That's basically it, right?
Yeah. Probably abstract class is a little bit more like inheritance class. You're not wrong, but abstract class is just a bit more specific. And I'd also
to use for inheritance. We both get our way.
Nice. Yeah. Actually, we should be good developers and step through each file just to make sure that.
So base database
snuck in there.
Totally new created. Poem database technically got kind of deleted and then recreated.
Yep. So we should have a lot of red and just a little bit of green.
Yeah, we got the patch data because that was a abstract that we had to create now. Or we had to initialize because it wasn't done anywhere else. And then the rest of that's all red.
Oh, you know something I just noticed?
Yeah.
When we added that is verified column, we didn't add that to the patch method. So see how we're patching author
Oh, we
ID.
sure didn't.
Yeah, we should do that now.
That's a really good. You are really good at catching stuff while I'm scrolling through, going, "Yeah, this is all good." And we're doing that in iDatabase model. No,
Poem database.
base.
Yeah,
isn't it? It's not in base. Oh, that's right, because we kicked it to
access.
Poem database. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, and so that's gonna be Poem. We didn't need to change that to data from database here, did we?
No, because this is actually the Poem database class, so we know we're using poems now. Cool.
Man,
and the other thing I would do is, do you know this trick? You can hold Alt and arrow up. Well, hold Alt and tap the arrow up key. Boom.
Oh.
So the reason I say that is that updated that timestamp
Yeah.
is going to use the exact time in the CPU. That's what UTC now means.
Okay.
And technically, we would have set the timestamp, then made one more change to it.
Now, tell me what the actual time difference would be.
Nanoseconds.
Okay. But we're talking good best practice here, of course.
But yeah, maybe that could be a bug in the future. But
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
So that's there. Let's go back to GitHub.
Oh, save it.
Oh God.
All right.
There it is.
Much better.
Nice.
I like that.
Okay.
Now. Yep.
And like we said before, all of this is red because we deleted it and changed it to be the base database.
That's right.
iDatabase model, interface to force classes to include the GUID ID. I need to
Actually,
update
a lot
that
more now, yeah.
yeah, that's not the only thing we're doing. To include properties,
Porpoises.
to include porpoises, to include properties needed in database. Because when we make we're going to have these two tables. These are the ones we gotta have in those tables. And then beyond that, they can be slightly different.
Yep.
Which is why we didn't include author. We didn't include poem. We didn't include the stuff that we are going to have in those other ones because this is the bare minimum, like you said earlier.
Yeah. Like you wanna be cool? You wanna be in the database club?
That's right.
Show me your ID.
Show me your ID.
Show me your created app.
Hey man, I gotta check the is verified before you can get in. We changed the models poem. We added this here.
Whew, I'm so glad that worked.
Is this gonna be necessary for my Azure database as well?
Oh yeah, probably.
Okay.
Like why did we do that? That's a good question. So, PJ, if you show the existing database again, this database exists both locally, both in the cloud, well, separately. But what we're seeing here is there's already a table that exists in this database called poems. And something I just learned while going through this exercise was that Entity Framework will automatically name a table for you based on what you call the database context. So if you jump back to the base database real quick, Peach,
Yeah.
and scroll all the way down to that protected class database context. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this line 133, that used to be poems. Mm-hmm. And so what Entity Framework did, it took that word and just made it the table, which was fine because we only had one table. But now we want to share this code. We made it all this abstract class, everything's generic. And what Entity Framework is going to do next is when we create our author model or our author database, it would default to naming that data. So to answer your question, yes, we will need that attribute because we just don't want to let Entity Framework name our tables for us anymore.
Right. Right. So we're saying, listen, Entity Framework, I appreciate it, but I'll take care of it. I got it.
Like, we got this. We got this.
It's fine. It's fine. And we included that in which file was that? That was the poem model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, are we going to have to, when we create, say, the author, we're going to have to do table string authors or author?
Yep. Probably authors, just to be consistent with poems.
Just to be consistent, yeah. Okay, cool.
Because, yeah, if we didn't, then Entity Framework would create a new table for us called data.
That's right.
And that
what
doesn't
is
make
going
sense.
on here with these little red dots in line 23, formerly 22?
I have no clue.
Me
That might
either.
just be a GitHub desktop thing.
Maybe. All right. Well, if it's good for you, it's good for me. All right. Changed poems to data under add poet.
Yeah.
Generate to read random poem, which is a smart thing I did. Everyone gets one. Get all poems to get all data in the index. And then poets.ch changed get all poems to get all data again.
Love it.
Looks good.
Cool. Yeah, let's create that save point. I love that analogy, man.
I mean, that's we all remember games that you couldn't save on, and when you were finally able to save on things like Final Fantasy, you were like,
worst.
"Thank God," you know.
That's what kills me. My wife Kim loves those retro games that, like for example, Aladdin on, Super Nintendo.
I think the
But-
Sega Genesis has it too, but it's terrifying. Both
Yeah, you have
both
to
versions
beat-
are terrifying.
You have to beat the entire game because if you die, if you run out of lives, you just start over from the beginning.
Yep.
And
Terrible.
as soon as I saw that, I go, nope, I am never going to play that because that is so disheartening. Like, I just spent hours and you told me all that's gone?
Yep. Yep.
No, thank you.
All right. Pushing to Origin.
Nice.
Da,
Okay.
da, da.
So, let's see if you're cool with it. I'll hang back, BJ, and you want to see if you can walk us through how to do a new table?
Oh Lord, I can do it in Azure. Watch, it's just click New Table.
And the good
Alright,
news is
so-
you have all this existing code that you can cheat from.
That's right.
It's open book.
Life is open book. So as I imagine it, I'm going to be creating a new where's it? Add, and I'm going to create a new class in the database folder, and this is going to be the author class. Yeah,
Love it.
that's what I would say. So we're going to call this authors. Here we are, public class authors.
Call it authors database so that we're consistent with.
With the naming.
And actually, I see now it's poem singular database, so we should probably be author database.
This is me rushing through things. Let's do author database. All right, so there's our class. It's going to inherit from the base database, but also spelled correctly.
Tab to complete. Done.
I know you like it, but that needs to be. And let me see.
I
what
just hate
did.
spelling. That's
And this is going to be a type author.
nice.
See, look what happens when I tap. And I'm getting squiggles, so does not inherit an abstract member, so I need to inherit that abstract member from before. And that's going to be this whole section. Public override from here down to...
I'm going to give you a recommendation before you
Yeah.
go too far down this path. Jump back to author database.
Yeah.
Notice how you're getting a red squiggle under author?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Oh, I'm not using... I need to be using... no, not type, not typo.
Check out the models folder to the right. What's missing?
We have a poem model, but we don't have an author model.
Bingo.
All right, so I need to make an author model over here, correct?
Yep. And my recommendation is let's do that first
Yeah.
because the author database will need this author model and it'll save us some rework.
And I'm just going to have this... I can't just have it inherit everything from here. I have to actually copy and paste this over, right? Well, also,
Well,
I don't want all of this. I want the GUID. I want new stuff.
Yep. I'll show you the
But-
shortcut. So,
Okay, first I need to inherit from iDatabase model, and I'm going to do that first.
yep. And then you can actually use Visual Studio for you.
Implement interface.
Yep. Boom. Now, something I do hate is it adds on all this throw new not implemented exception code.
Yeah.
So you just have to delete it. You have to change get throw new implicit. Blah. I can't even say it. You have to just change that to get set.
Yeah.
So
What's
It
the
helps.
quick way to do that?
but it'll copy that and then do a control. Yeah. And add in the open close parenthesis.
Oh. Too late.
Well, now I can do it
Now.
with open close parentheses.
That's right.
Yeah. See, I wish Visual Studio wouldn't do that for properties. That's annoying. But
Okay. So that exists now. However, there's new columns that we want in this that don't exist here. So we need to add those columns, correct?
yeah, how do we want to define an author?
Right.
What defines you?
How do you define an author is too big a question? Oh no, public string author get set. And I know I'm supposed to be tabbing out, but it's not happening.
What
Public.
is that?
Oh God, why is this? Oh.
So, what'd you have in mind when you were typing out author is this property? Like first name?
That was going to be the name of the column. It would be the author, but it should just be because that's what we had before in the other one. But it can't be the same as the class.
Well, everything in this table is an author. So when I think of what an author is, I would say like first name, last name.
Should those be separate columns?
Should those be separate columns?
I'd say no.
Trying to think ahead into the future. Like when somebody adds a new poem and they say the poet's first name is PJ, the last name is Metz.
There's poets that
what could be.
There's poets that have monikers that don't fall into first name, last name too.
Ooh, then we should just use name.
I think your name's better because I don't see us ever having to organize by first name or last name. Also, I don't see us having to pull just the first name property out at any point. Unless we were trying to generate bios and have like a boilerplate bio where we're like inputting stuff from the database, but I don't see us having to do that for this.
Love it.
Cool. Public string name get set. All right, public. What else defines an author? We want a bio, but that's going to be a large piece of data. That's going to be like a paragraph, but that will be a nope. See? Nope.
Sometimes tab to complete works.
All right, and I'm getting smudges here. Non-nullable property name is uninitialized.
Yeah.
We've got that.
You have the same error going on in BOEM model.
Yeah.
I'm purposely going to have us just ignore it for now because that's going to be another. Ugh. That's like a. Well, you know what? With a string, we could fix that. So, actually, at the end of this, after get set, so like public string name, get set, you can just say equals string.empty. And that'll make sure that it's not null. It's just an empty string. And same thing with bio. But what sucks is with URI, we cannot do that. Like there is no such thing as an empty URI.
Yeah.
So we just have to, you remember that question mark? Like we say URI question mark.
And that means
it
could be null, and that's okay.
Because what the green squiggle was telling us is like, hey, your code could be null here, but you're not acknowledging that. So by adding that question mark, we're simply acknowledging that this could be null. And another Brandon rule of thumb is I try to avoid null as much as possible, but I have not figured out how to avoid null for URIs yet. So
now
we'll just make it null.
This is our poem database override, and we're going to need to change all of this to match this stuff.
Oh, let's change real quick that instead of picture, because we're going to be pointing to a URL. I mean, like, just adding like URL, so like image URL, picture URL.
Yeah, that's better. Let's do that. Because
picture could actually be the image. It could be a byte array of like pixels and RGB values. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, I mean that's technically what it is, but basically, we just don't want to confuse ourselves in the future. Like when we're writing other code and we see picture and assuming that is the actual image when in fact it's just pointing to a URL.
Okay. Look at the the code's trying to be like, hey, you should change it to. Yeah, that's what I want. Picture
Yeah,
URL.
you just did that.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's like, you should do this.
I did, man. I sure did. All right, so
And we have
when
the
I'm
table,
looking at
table name.
not yet, and that goes.
Let's do that before we
here.
forget, because that'll literally blow up the database. Well, it'll cause irreparable harm to our database that we'd have to manually undo.
Yeah, it's gonna be author.
Yeah, let's double check what poem is. I think poem had a lowercase p and was plural. And so we'll just want to match that convention again.
Authors.
Then it'll control KD will bring that to the next line for you.
Oh, come on, do it. There we go.
Boom.
All right. So we've got poem database where we are taking care of that override that we need for patch data.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to copy this. Too far. To there. Copy. And then we're going to put that into author database. So it stops yelling at us. And then we're going to replace this stuff. This one we need to fix. There was a good fix for that. We just need to make sure we're using Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Data needs to be changed to... No, data stays the same. So this needs to be author.
Oh, and
Wait.
you're probably just missing the namespace. I think that's what the light bulb's trying to tell you to do, right? Yep.
No. Then this should be author. And this should be author. And then... Okay, all that's good. And then this stuff doesn't exist there. It doesn't exist there. So we need Poe from database.
Author
We
from
should
database.
change this too. I don't like that. Yeah, author.
Sorry.
Oh, wait.
That's how I get in trouble for copy pasting.
And let's go ahead and find poem from database. And we're going to replace it with author from database. And do it. Okay. And this one is going to be name. Yeah, dot name and data dot name. This one's going to be, what else did we change that was different? So we got name, bio, picture, URL. That's what's all going in. So name, bio, and then picture, and let me double check. Picture, URL. I just wanted to make sure it was actually all capital letters. Picture, URL. And thus, I'm amazing, and it's perfect? That's it, right? Hold on, let's double check. The GUID, does that need to be there? The ID? It wasn't there for the other one.
Which other one?
So
To answer your question, we definitely need GUID.
So, like, when we're looking at the poem model, we've got this constructor. We've got all of this here. We have all of that here in authors. We don't. Oh, we don't have a constructor for this. Do we need a constructor for this?
So let's leave it empty for now.
Yeah.
Because eventually, well, this is, again, just another me thing. I like to make all my data immutable so that you cannot change it. Because my thought is, if I read something from the database or if I pull something from an API, I want that data that I pulled or that data that I read to always, like, I want it to be pristine. Like, this came from the API. Mm-hmm. And the public setters break that paradigm because you can pull that data from the API and then change a property onto it, and then it's no longer the data that came back from the API.
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing initially with that other constructor in the POEM model. But then once we introduced the database and we introduced Entity Framework, it kind of blew it up. So right now, yeah, I'm going to tell you, don't do a constructor for author yet.
Okay.
But let's leave it in poem as, well, for now we'll call it a relic. But eventually we'll come back and clean this up. Because I know a way to have our database layer return immutable data. But that's going to be like a couple hours of work. So
Okay.
I don't want to do it just now. So it's kind of like, just ignore it.
So for now, when we're looking at this perform database function to patch the data, the one we don't want to patch is the ID. We don't want to be able to patch that.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what you're asking. Yeah,
That's
we
what
never
I
want to. The ID should always be the same in the database.
Exactly.
Yeah, that could break a lot.
And
of things.
also, same thing as created at. We don't want to be able to patch created at.
Very important. Yes.
Things we want to patch is the data that's like stuff that we can change, because if I put in the name as like Martin Espana, I need to be able to go in and be like, oops, I messed up. I need to be able to patch that.
Yeah. Maybe they change their name. Maybe they start going by the artist formerly known as Martin Espana.
Right. The bio changes. We lose our picture URL and like it's not hosted there anymore because I'm pointing to an empty space on the internet. Stuff like that. So in my mind, if we're looking at the poems, right? The GUID author title URL is deleted, created at, updated at is verified. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we don't want that, so 7. We don't want that, so 6. There should be 6 things here, and there are. And same for author. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't want that. Don't want that. 6, and then we're good.
So, something I'm thinking, this is what I've been Googling on the side, is,
Got a side Google going.
yeah, because what we should be doing next is we should create a relationship between these two tables, because every poem has an author. Mm-hmm. And so if we look at the poem model, right now, I think we have... So yeah, like that string author.
Yeah.
Really, that should be author. Because now we have an author class. And... Oh, just instead of string.
Oh, instead of string.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's type author. So we can do author name or author.
I'd make it author. And what I'm looking at... So there's a concept in databases called foreign keys. And you see how this poem has a GUID called ID.
Yeah.
And the author has a GUID called ID.
Yeah.
And so we can reference these two tables together somehow.
We want them to have the same ID, don't we?
Well, yeah. So like in SQL, this thing called the foreign key, and the foreign key says that we can essentially reference somebody else's unique ID, somebody else's GUID.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if we were like hand creating everything in SQL, I could get us through that. But what I've never done before is done foreign keys, and this is what's called a one-to-one relationship with Entity Framework. So, I was kind of Googling furiously while you were working on all that code to try and figure it out. And I see... Oh, you know what? Is that really it? Foreign key author? Well, let's fix something first that I just thought of. You see those annotations, like line 23 says key database generated, 29 says database generated.
One more time? Database generated. Okay.
Yeah, all those annotations, go ahead and bring those in to implement those in the new author class.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep...
and we're going to do it in the class itself, and then do you want me to do it for is deleted and created at as well?
Actually, you know what? Maybe we don't even need those, period. Let me double check, because I was working on my first website on the side and playing around with this stuff. So,
change key,
double check.
foreign key.
Speaking of foreign keys, don't.
I
Well,
did
don't.
it.
That's definitely got to
already
be a
done.
key.
I
Because
fixed it.
key is our primary key.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me 1 second and dig up some code because I forget which. We don't need. We're doing two things and we don't need both. Da, da, da. So that doesn't have it there. Really? This has got to be very exciting for everybody watching at home.
This is what they don't want to show you at your boot camps. And they don't want to show you this on the other streams where they're constantly typing and doing amazing stuff. This is real developer stuff, y'all.
Yeah, so it looks like the website that I was working on, I didn't use any of those. The only annotation I used was key.
Oh.
So, but I don't know. I literally don't know enough about this. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's just keep all of it because it's working.
Okay.
So yeah, let's bring all those annotations over. Maybe somebody knows more than us can let us know if these annotations are necessary.
Are they
Key,
doing anything?
and make sure you copy the correct annotations too.
Yeah.
So
Identity computed. Identity computed. Let's get back to author, identity, and computed.
and then those are not primary keys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what do we change it to?
nothing. You just delete it. You can only have one primary key in your database. Well, the ID is your primary key, so keep
Yeah. No.
keep the key with ID.
Wait, hold on. Am I losing my mind? So this is poem. This is the first one we made.
Yep.
ID. Okay, so we need that. Okay, got it. And then we don't need
And-
the key for these.
Correct. And just need a
Yeah.
comma after key.
And
then
this
bring in
yells
its
at me,
namespace.
which is this.
Yep. Boom.
Okay, got a smudge.
Nah. Huh?
You're so silly. What are you telling me to do? Is telling me to get rid of the key. Get rid of it. Stop it. Okay.
It's like that's the second time it's been like you just
Yeah.
wrote code, but you probably didn't want that code.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what you wanted.
No. I'm doing what I want. Okay, so that's the primary key. The caffeine's wearing off.
Nah. Huh? So, all right, let me share this link with you, PJ.
Okay.
Put it in our. Oh, let's put it. Let's
I mean, if
post
you-
it for everybody. This is
Yeah,
this is the
yeah.
website that we're looking at.
Looking at our super secret setup. All right.
And so specifically, I was looking at. If you scroll down, there's a section called Using Data Annotation. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, what this adds, this is something we don't have yet. So, we don't have an off. We don't have an. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? What do we need? You know what? Let's just
So-
scroll to the top, and we should probably read this.
So configure a one-to-one So a one-to-one relationship. Each row of data in one table is linked to 0 or one row in the second table. So a one-to-one relationship means every row is linked to some other row. It's either 0 or 1.
Wait,
Right?
I think I was thinking about this all wrong. Because an author can have many poems. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's jump back to the code real quick, because
Okay.
I was trying to associate a poem with an author. So that's why in the poem model, we added that author.
Yeah.
But I think, and we could probably still do that too, but we should definitely do an author should have a list of poems. So, yeah, in this author class, let's have a public list of type poem. Call it poems.
A list of type poems.
Yeah, just the open angle bracket.
I'm going to need to... There we go. IntelliSense it. A list of type poem called poems.
Mm-hmm.
And get. And set. And do it right, PJ.
And I should be really looking at the official Microsoft Docs on this. There we go.
Non-nullable. Oh, hold on. This? There we go. Okay.
Got it. Okay. So it looks like Entity Framework might do it.
Don't say automatically. I don't believe it.
Yeah, so it's let me share another link to the docs.
Yeah.
And these are official Microsoft Docs now, so
Oh, that's right.
gotta
The
be good,
boss,
right?
The boss is showing up. Let's do this again. Sorry, y'all. You gotta watch the infinite screen.
Woo. Choo, choo, choo. Oh.
Get rid of that. Stop it.
So So yeah, this is basically what we're doing. So we're adding a list into our author class, and we've already done an author in our poem class, right?
Yes, correct.
So yeah, this says if you don't define a foreign key, then Entity Framework creates what's called a shadow foreign key or
This sounds
shadow.
dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, but
It's
at the
gonna
same
banish
time,
you
like
to the shadow realm.
maybe we just try it and see if it works. Like worst case scenario, we blow up the
break
local
it.
database.
Okay. It's recommended to have a foreign key. It's not required. A shadow foreign key will be introduced if no navigation is present on the dependent type. Okay. Public list post of posts.
Yeah, so what we
these
can
are,
do.
These are somehow related, is what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, so what I'm assuming happens is that in our code, we'll say, give me all of the authors. And with all the authors come the list of all their poems. And so what I'm assuming happens is Entity Framework sees that it also needs the poems, and then we'll go and try to find each author's poems for us.
Okay.
But this is kind of like we're wading into some new waters for me.
This is definitely new water for me then.
Oh,
all right.
Let's fix this real quick. I saw you made poems nullable.
Yeah.
We can fix this one. Yeah, so we can get rid of the question mark,
Okay.
and we can just say a new list.
Oh.
So just like an empty list of type poem. and yeah, open close parenthesis.
Oh yeah.
All the semantics.
Because yeah, I actually had asked this on Twitter the other day. Like, hey, when you're making a new, why does it look like a method at the end? And that's because you're actually able to pass in parameters to this. So.
Yeah, that's technically the constructor that you're calling.
Yep.
It's just we're calling a parameterless constructor.
Yep.
Boom.
I did just learn that. Okay.
So, and then let's double check our poem model because we have an author there. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see if, like, will this just work? But we don't have any. So, something I'm thinking about now is we don't have any authors defined.
Mm-hmm. Like, we're trying to make an empty table here with the author database.
Getting nervous. So, because we struggled with database migrations on one of these streams, and we'll need to do a database migration here. And, well, we don't know how to do it. And so what we could do is manually, I'm almost thinking we just wipe out the existing local database and let Entity Framework just create a new one.
Oh, okay.
And then we see how it created it, and then we can manually create that on
Azure.
On Azure, yeah.
So what you're saying I should do is publish right now.
Run it, see what happens.
Yeah.
So
I will tell you, I did a rebuild just now, accidentally.
Yeah, so let's clean that. I saw that coming. In the poem model, we have those constructors.
Yeah.
Let's just delete them now because author used to be a string, and this is just going to get in the way.
Okay, so we're just deleting the whole constructor?
Yeah, you can actually delete both of them because we're not doing anything with the other one either. And so what this is going to do is it's going to break that. We have a constants files or a constants folder. And all of this is broken now because we're passing in, again, like the name of the author is a string. So I think for now, let's just ignore this file. Like you can actually right click on the file in the Solution Explorer and say, just tell it not to build. So if you go to properties at the bottom, see that build action, set that to none. And now the compiler will just ignore this. Like, see how even all like all
the squiggles
colors went away. Yeah. So like this file doesn't exist as far as the compiler is concerned.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind for when, or if we want to use this file again.
Yeah.
I don't know if we will, but.
Okay.
But yeah, so what are these other errors though?
So it's a using constants.
Okay.
Let's just comment them
Instead
out. Instead of not compiling.
Oh wait, yeah, because we're not using that anymore. We're not using that anywhere. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Just you don't even need to comment it out. Just delete that line. Cool.
All right. And then
Is that Christmas music?
Yeah, we love Christmas music. It's Christmas time. My wife's listening to Christmas music.
Nice.
All
So
right.
what else did we break?
Poem does not contain a constructor that takes the arguments. Oh, we're waiting. Here.
Oh man, we broke a lot of stuff. Oh no.
And then actually, here's a bigger problem. That constructor's used pretty frequently.
Well, this is because the fact that author is now an author class. Mm-hmm. So this is actually a pretty substantial rewrite. I'm almost thinking because we've been going 2.5 hours,
I'm totally okay with like saving where we are. I'm not publishing this, obviously. We pushed to GitHub everything we did before. I'm fine with going back and just pulling that version back up and starting there next week.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, let's in GitHub Desktop, let's just make a new branch. So let's branch off a master.
This is my first time branching.
Oh, nice. This is the perfect reason to branch too.
Okay.
So, yeah, create a new branch and just call it probably add author or add author database, add author table. I mean, all of that's fine.
Cool.
And then you say create branch and say bring my changes with me.
Switch branch.
There you go. Yep. And so you can see GitHub Desktop says your current branch. You're now on the add author database table.
Okay.
So now we can commit this code to this branch and not impact the master branch. Master branch is still pristine. It's still what we want running in production. But this branch is kind of like our work in progress. And yeah, I think you're right. I think this is a good place to pause. We'll pick it back up next week.
Yeah.
Because,
this is a whole nother show, I think.
Yeah, I see now that like we just created, or we have a couple more hours worth of work to overcome this.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. That's what we were going for. I just forgot about that in the timeline.
That's all good. That
I apologize
works for me.
to all the PMs out there. We're very good at timelines. This is why engineers always underestimate. Like, yeah, I can do that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. 2 days later.
3 hours later.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and commit this. I'm calling it the vague beginnings of author database table.
Sure. And then when you click publish,
Publish branch.
So that'll push those to GitHub and create the new branch on GitHub as well.
Rad.
So what's kind of cool, if we wanted to do something else in the next 7 days before we stream again, you could always jump back to master.
Yeah.
And did you see Visual Studio flip stuff behind you?
Oh, snap.
So say no to all, any unsaved changes. And this is back to your previous code. Like, look what doesn't exist. The author database doesn't exist here.
Oh,
the
snap.
author model
snap.
doesn't exist here.
So you can always... So if I go to this, it's like, hey, here's the version of... Oh, neato.
So say don't save again. Because now I'm concerned that we have unsaved changes. Oh, now they're gone.
So yeah, there's author database. Because this is what I created.
Yep.
And then
if I add author branch.
And now if I save on Visual Studio, that saves to the project. I should not be saving on Visual Studio anymore, right?
You should totally be saving in Visual Studio. So when you save the file here, then Git knows that it's able to be committed. So everything's the same here. It's just if you want to continue working on this, you stay on this branch. If you wanted to, like, maybe somebody reports a bug, right? They're like, hey, PJ, your website's crashing when I do this. You can flip back to master.
Okay.
Fix the bug, push it.
Yeah.
And everything's still good. You don't have to worry about the...
So I can push things in master, that's okay, but I shouldn't do anything... I shouldn't... Is it called merging branches?
Right, yeah. When we're done with this, we'll bring in the changes to master, and that's via pull request, and that's, where we merge the changes together.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
So
we got a little snapshot for next week.
I'm going to click save. And I'm going to go to master. And I'm going to click save. And I'm just making sure that my brain is doing things the right way. You know what I mean? And so this was the compiler.
Oh, right click on that and say discard. Because that was us setting poem constants to be ignored by the compiler.
Okay. And that's
we don't want that on master branch. We only wanted that on the other branch.
And then this one's good. Okay. All right. Hey, look, like stuff got done, and we had some success today. Even though here at the end, it's we're realizing some things are broken, but we're gonna be able to come a little more correctly next time we do this.
Yeah, well, and we know exactly what we have to work on next time.
Right, which is way better than Saturday night at like 10:30 going. So like, what do you want to do tomorrow? And going, let's figure it out later. Oh
Easy.
man, yeah, this is such good work, and I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this time hanging out. This is always something that makes me really happy. So thanks for taking your time to hang out with me, and I know you're excited because like you're learning new stuff and you just like that. This helps me more than you can know, and it's fantastic to have someone like you in my corner. So thank you very much, Brandon
My pleasure,
Minnick
PJ.
of Microsoft.
Awesome. And we'll see all of you next week when we keep working on our authors database table.
That's right. Stay fresh, cheese bags.